Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Double Kick podcast. Double the kick, double the games, and double the friends we make along the way. I am just one half of this boat that we have built together, Terry Thompson, and I'm joined as ever by the illustrious Richmond shirt wearing Dan Hoy. Dan, how's it going?
Going great. I'm thinking about your boat, the half of the boat that you have. I wonder which half it is.
I'm more of like a starboard guy. I like the right side of the boat. I believe that's starboard. And the other side is like port, I believe, right? Port and starboard.
What's the other side? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I learned
I never knew the parts of a ship, so
I learned that from Sly 3 because there's a level where you're like it's basically like Black Flag, where you're just like driving a boat and like pirating other ships and stuff like that. So there's like starboard, port, and stuff like that. So that's how I learned it.
yeah. They couldn't just say left side and right side.
And I know, right? They just I really had to make it complicated. I guess that's before left and right existed, you know?
Yeah, because people didn't know left and right before. They had to use the stars to decide lefty
Yep.
and righties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
that
Makes
makes a
sense.
lot of sense.
Are you starboard handed or port handed, Dan?
I already forgot what each of those mean, so
Nah, I respect it. I respect it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm starboard handed. I'm right handed, so starboard.
Okay, okay. Watch you be completely off, and it's just like starboard doesn't mean what you think it means on a
Right,
boat.
right. Like I'm just like totally making stuff up. Starboard means
Yeah.
like the latrines or something like that.
Um, we are recording on a beautiful snowy Sunday, and for those who missed our previous episode, and for our mutual friend Pat, Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us again for 2025. But today's a big day. Today is the aftermath of a snowstorm that we had here
hmm
uh, in northeastern New Jersey. I'm sure your neck of the woods got a good amount of snow as well.
Yeah, hefty amount of snow. Luckily the roads they took care of them fairly quickly, which is pretty surprising. But you know, after this episode, the girl and I are going food shopping. So hopefully the roads are pretty
Ooh,
cleared on our way
yeah,
there. Yeah,
good
yeah.
luck. I'm
Thank,
sure it'll be a very quiet, smooth, and empty grocery store.
thank you. Oh, that's right. You know, it's Super Bowl Sunday.
It's Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh my God, that is so crazy. I totally forgot.
Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl number 59.
Insane, insane. Are you guys
And
doing anything for it?
pretty low key, I think, because now we have two small children. Their bedtime is like really close to the start time of the
Sure.
Super Bowl. Um, I think we'll just do like the regular finger foods, the junk and stuff,
Yeah.
um, and just hang out. We don't really watch the game. It's maybe I'll watch like the last quarter or pay attention to the last quarter.
Sure.
Um, it is a little bit more interesting that way. Maybe saves me the research I have to do when coworkers bring it up, and I have to be on top of current events, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, they did
Um,
us. I'm as well. I'm not super into like football, as you know, and we had to do like we didn't have to, but they did like the squares, the Super Bowl squares at my job. So it's like you pick a square or something like that, and something football wise. So like I had to like pretend like I kind of knew what I was doing. I'm like, here's my money, put me in, yeah. Tell me if I win something because I don't know.
yeah, no, I had a coworker ask me to participate that in that too, and I was like, I don't know what that is. If it's March Madness, it's a little easier,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's just a bracket, and you just pick winner or loser, and anything can happen in March Madness.
Sure.
So that one's a little bit more enjoyable for me. But
Do,
I mean, the commercials we stick around for, but they haven't been that great recently.
Yeah, I haven't watched the commercials or like Super Bowl in general since like I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago. We used to go over like Alex's house and his mom made like really good taco dip and we'd watch it together. It
Yeah,
was really fun.
I believe I've had that taco dip. It's to
Oh,
die for.
it's so good. So good. Shout out Alex's mom's taco dip. um, out of context, that's really wild.
Terry, if you had two video game characters that went head to head in the Super Bowl playing football,
Yeah.
who do you think would make it to the Super Bowl, and who do you think would win?
Okay, if I had two video game characters going head to head, um, I want to think of like the strongest guys I know. So number one would have to be Kratos. I want Kratos
Okay,
on like one team. And the other one, oh, who would I want to be the other one? I want to So Kratos has the power. Maybe I
yeah,
want somebody for the speed of it all. Captain Falcon, maybe? You think like
Captain Falcon.
Captain
Okay,
Falcon?
okay,
Because I feel he's like very dexterous and like versatile. So what he lacks
yeah,
in like Kratos, like godlike power, he makes up for just like being able to like, like dance around and like get the dexterity of it all.
okay.
You feel
So
me?
would those be like two individual players, or would you have a team of like six Kratoses and um six whoever?
Ooh, were we thinking just like when you asked the question, did you mean team wise or was it just like individual people?
I don't really know where I was headed with it.
Mhm.
But it would be funny to see like a team of Captain Falcons just go
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah. No, actually I like that. 6 Falcons versus 6 Kratoses. Uh, you know what? I think my money's on Kratos because like as slow as he is in like Ragnarok and God of War 2018, he pulled off some like stunts that like I was really surprised to see, you know? Really
Yeah,
conquered the
yeah.
odds.
So your Kratos would be the kicker, the quarterback, the lineman, the corner,
Kicker,
wide receiver,
quarterback, coach, cheerleader, fans in the stands on his side, water boy, Kratos as the water boy,
the mascot.
mascot. Yeah, it's a million Kratoses like in that stand versus the million Captain Falcons going head to head. Show me your moves and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely.
Um, I think that would be pretty ideal.
Yeah.
Um, um, what about the opposite team? Who would you want him to play?
So we got the Falcons and we got Kratos. Hmm. I don't know. I think I want to go Nintendo. I want to get the Kong family in there from like Donkey Kong 64. I want to somehow find a way to like have them fill in all the positions. You need like I think you need Donkey Kong as the quarterback, just like, just to keep it OG, keep it original. And also I don't know football positions, so I'm making all this up as I'm going along. Um,
Yeah.
Running back, I think running back is the guy who runs the most, right? So Diddy Kong maybe. He's got some like speed on him.
Hmm.
Um, you need Lanky Kong in there to be I don't know, got those long orangutan arms to just I don't know, throw the ball if the ball needs throwing again or something. I don't know, man. And you need Chunky Kong. You need Chunky Kong on defense. All right, big
Hmm.
guy,
Yeah, for sure.
big burly man. Dixie Kong, she can use her hair to fly over the opposition. Um, and you need Cranky Kong as the coach because he's got the wisdom and all that stuff. Yeah.
Wisdom is gonna be the game changer for all of that.
Yeah, that's what it is. He knows he's been around. He's been around from the start. I'm pretty sure Cranky Kong is canonically like the first Donkey Kong when in that like first game where he appeared on top of the red pipes with Mario or something.
Mhm.
Whatever. You feel me? You feel me?
I think I'm following you. It's
Mhm.
just I can't imagine these two teams playing each other and seeing it fair, if that
Sure.
makes sense.
Sure. We got to throw in some
Uh,
video game logic. So like,
yeah,
they can do their thing. They can do their thing.
I think about my team and I can't even imagine. There's so many options, right?
Mhm.
We have my first thought is like Blanca from Street Fighter series.
Oh, yeah. Good pick. Good
Just
pick.
wild, like beast, all the players, just Blancos running
Mhm.
around, right?
Mhm.
Um, Give or take the electric shocks,
Sure. Sure. That's the secret move. The secret sauce.
right? Yeah, the secret sauce. Um, and then if I were really to dig deep, I'm like looking through my game library. I'm like, who would be like a good pick here? Speed and dexterity, I think it's pretty obvious to have like Sonic the Hedgehog or something,
Okay, that makes sense.
right?
No, that's a good pick.
There's always a way to circumvent that. I'm sure someone has a loophole to
Mm-hmm.
defeat Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm trying to think of other big burly players, and I think like Reinhardt from the Overwatch series
Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
uh, is a blocker. Um, that's that's only those are the only guys that come to mind right now. So any listeners right now, if you have any suggestions who we should add to our football roster, please let us know so we could be a little bit more fleshed out about it.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. We could make like a whole chart of like characters and stuff like that, and just like fill them in who would go where. That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
It'd be a lot of
that'd be
fun.
really
I'd
yeah.
be so down for that. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. All right, how about we get started, Dan? I know we've got like a lot to get into. Not a whole lot, but I feel like this first one we have a lot more to talk about than we did last time. So I think that might take up a chunk, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. So we're gonna get back into UFO 50. We touched on it a little bit in the last episode, but I've been playing it a lot more. I know you've been playing it a lot more since then. Um, and I'll start us out real quick. I don't want to put you on the spot with that. I've been playing mostly Pilot Quest, kind of like the same one I got into last time. It's for the listeners out there if you're not familiar, UFO 50. It's a recent game that came out within the last couple of months. Got rave reviews from all kinds of like critics and fans alike. It's 50 NES slash SNES style games. Like the vibe of the games kind of remind me of like a middle ground between those two. Like they're not exactly like SNES, but not exactly NES. Somewhere like in between. There's 50 of them, and the lore of this of UFO 50 is that all these games were made by a fictional company called UFO Soft for this fictional game system way back when, and the games go like in order of like the games they've released. So and it's cool because you'll see um I, I don't have the games in front of me, so it's hard to like say. But if there's one version, if the first version of a game came out, say it's called like I don't know, uh, dog Doggy Dodgeball 1, maybe 18 games later there will be Doggy Dodgeball 2, and you'll see like
Mhm.
the progression of one to the other. So it's really cool. But Dan, I've been playing a lot of Pilot Quest, and Pilot Quest is the one where there's a lot of like idle elements. So it's like you plant your plants in front of this tree, and you build these workbenches and you build houses, and eventually you have friends. They're called friends. In the game, like the little aliens, and they
Yeah,
get to work on these workbenches, making like ingots and stuff like that. But it's not it they build them over time and the plants grow over time. So the best course of action is to like exit out of the game. And when you exit out of the game and you go play another game, or if you're just sitting in the main menu, all these resources will be gathering and you know stockpiling as you're doing other stuff within UFO 50, which is super cool. So I've got all the houses built, I got my resources silos built, I've got friends on all the workbenches, and now I got the science center built up. I don't want to spoil too much for you in case you haven't like gotten that far, but I'm having a blast. And the music is fun, and it's getting that like addictive hook within me where I'm like, all right, I made it this far in the wild zone. Let me go back. Let me get some meat. Let me play another game for a little bit, and after I'm done with a couple matches in that game, I'll come back to Pilot Quest, see how much resources have stockpiled up, journey back out, see what I can find. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Um, what have you been playing though? You been playing Pilot Quest or any other games?
yeah. By your recommendation, and some of our friends had recommended as well to start with Pilot Quest because of the idle mechanic.
Sure.
Um, and for a while, I had no idea what was happening, and my resources were accumulating very slowly
Yeah.
until you sent a screenshot to the group chat, and I was like, "Wow, he's so good at this game. How does he do it?" And it turns out there are like more aspects of the game that I was unaware of. such as like having a silo to store more of these like gems. Um, but after I did that, things really started to pick up, and I started to enjoy Pilot Quest a lot more. And I'm finding that I'm playing other games to play Pilot Quest, if that
Yeah,
makes
right?
sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like you said, you would boot up the game, collect your resources, exit the game, play a different game within the game, just so the clock runs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's kind of funny that way, but I'm also finding games that I enjoy. Um, there's Grimstone, which is the JRPG style game,
Oh yeah.
and it's very reminiscent of your Final Fantasy. Very classic Nintendo Final Fantasy, um, with some other like real time like button pushing
Mm-hmm.
during your battles, which is kind of fun. There was another one, I forgot what it was called. Um, I There's just these names are so funny and unique that I don't remember them at all.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
um, it was almost like a tower defense, um, where you have soldiers on your end, and you have to reach the opposite castle's wall to take it down. But they're also sending soldiers, and it's like every few seconds the soldiers move forward, and they have to attack each other.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Very reminiscent, very reminiscent of like old Cartoon Network games I used to play.
You're right. Just like on cartoonnetwork.com, like the Flash games and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Now the games are great. Grimstone, I want to touch on too. Like I booted that up. I made my party and I made it to like the next town. That game is hard. Hard at hard as in like the old Final Fantasies are hard. Like your characters go down and if they die, they're still dead. So you have to like go revive them at the
yeah.
church or something. But it's a lot of fun and it's so unique. It's just like a
Mhm.
cowboy JRPG. Thank you for the recommendation. That one's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the Wild West setting is really like immersive. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's pretty detailed
Mhm.
despite it being an quote unquote old fashioned game.
Yeah.
Um, Music, the scenery, the dialogue, all of it. Um, so for those of you who are looking to pick this game up, don't let appearances fool you. A lot of these games are pretty well thought out and in depth.
Oh yeah, they're full
Um,
games.
they're full games. All of them have rolling credits at the end. So I absolutely think this is worth the money. It's not very expensive.
No, not at all. It's like $20 or something like that.
Yeah, for 50 games, I think it definitely is worth it.
Yeah.
One weird game I do want to bring up though, uh, is Mooncat.
Oh my god, Mooncat. I'm so glad you brought it up.
I don't understand Mooncat.
I don't understand Mooncat either, and I think that's the point, right?
I guess so. I don't even know like who are you controlling? What is that? It's
It's a
like a cucumber with legs?
it's a Mooncat, I guess.
No, what? It
Is
looks
that-
nothing like a cat.
but it looks like a Mooncat, right?
I You tell me. I've
I-
never referenced or seen or heard of Mooncat.
I've never seen a cat on the moon, so I'm assuming that's what they look like if that's what the game's telling me. So who am I? I'm not one to
That's
judge,
true.
right?
That's true.
Yeah.
So I played maybe 5 minutes of it. Couldn't understand the controls. It was very difficult. So I just put that away real quick.
It's really cool once the controls are really difficult in the beginning, but it's like it's you control this like Dan said, it's like a pink cucumber with two green legs, and you control him back like he walks back and forth, and it's the side scroller, and you have two buttons. From when I was playing on my controller, I controlled him with two buttons. There's like I controlled him with one button. He would walk left when I would press any button on the D-pad, and he would walk
Right.
right if I press any button on like the ABXY pad. So it's like
Yeah.
left, right, and you have to like alternate those two basically just those two buttons, and that's really it. That's it. That's how you play the game. But if you hold down the D-pad or if you hold down like the B button, he'll walk right or something. And then if you press this button on the D-pad as well, so you're pressing two buttons at the same time, he'll jump. And then if you repeat that again, you press two buttons at the same time while he's in the air, he'll smash down, kind of like a down B attack or whatever, and you can
Yeah,
use
yeah,
that to like bounce off of enemies. So you bounce, and reach ledges. And then I just found out our friend Pat and Travis told us that there's like an air dash ability. So you have to like jump and then double tap a button in the direction that you're going or something like that. It was a lot for my brain at the time too.
yeah, yeah. It captures a lot of the experimentation that they did in early games because it's not like
Yes.
you had a tutorial and nothing told you how to do it. You just had to kind of figure it out on accident,
Yeah.
um, and it would open an entire realm of possibilities for you. I think that's exciting, and it goes back to that social aspect where we have to talk and share about, hey, this is how you do that, right? Have you checked this out?
That's so
Um,
true.
it reminds it reminds me of like just being a schoolboy and talking about video games with friends.
Yeah, that classic feeling of, "Hey, did you find Mew under the truck in, like, Viridian City?" or something like that.
Yeah,
Talking with your friends who share, tidbits with you. And yeah, like you said, it brings back that feeling of, like, these old games that do not explain anything to you. Like, with Mooncat, there's barely a title screen. It just, like, throws you in there and, like, you start the level, it doesn't say anything. You're just the little cucumber standing right there, and it's like, "Alright, figure it out." It's like, I don't have a physical manual or anything like they did in the old days, like, anything like that. Like, it's really cool. It's really cool. Um
I like that a lot. And then one last game I've touched upon in
mhm.
UFO 50 is Night Manor.
Oh my god.
Yeah, did you play it for a little bit?
I booted it up last night because I remember you talking about it,
Yeah,
and I knew it was gonna be like a horror game just from the little, like, title square that's on it. It's like a little doll or
yeah.
something. Yeah, tell us about Night Manor, Dan. I don't wanna I don't wanna talk about it.
It's like I self-sabotage myself. I have expressed on the show before, I have a fear of dolls. And even though I saw like a little like snapshot or like thumbnail of a doll, I was so curious. I was so curious. Night Manor, a doll, I put two and two together. It's a horror game. And I'm thinking, how bad can this be? Or how
Mhm.
scary can this be? It's probably a really good game. But it's a point and click horror game, and you're trapped in a house and you have to explore the house and I assume find your way out. And scary stuff happens.
Scary stuff does happen, and it's very
Yeah,
scary. Yeah, indeed.
it's well, I mentioned to you last night. It doesn't take much for a game to be scary, right? People
Right.
think top-notch graphics and sounds and atmosphere. When you leave it up to imagination, that could scare you more than anything combined, right? It's just anything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely, especially these, like, pixel style games where not everything's drawn out for you. I mean, it looks beautiful, don't get me wrong, like, the levels are super detailed, so you can tell what things are, but just having that, like, that room to fill in the blanks with your imagination, like, like, there's a killer who's chasing you throughout the game, and he just looks so gross, but it's like, with the pixels and filling stuff in with your mind, it's even worse. um, and just pointing when the killer like goes to like attack you or whatever, your cursor starts like shaking, so you have to kind of like click out of like the room you're in, but like the cursor is like shaking, so you can't precisely put it where you want to because it's kind of like fighting against you. Um,
Hmm.
it I don't do scary games whatsoever. I booted this up just for like morbid curiosity, and to like I don't know test myself. I guess I don't know if I got too far, but I made it like upstairs, like, I found a flashlight, I was able to make it to a couple rooms, but, the killer attacked me, like, 3 times. He finally, like, killed me on the 3rd time. Luckily, the game's really forgiving if the killer, like, kills you, you just go back to the beginning, but you still have all your stuff, so, it's not too bad, but it was a lot. It was a lot for me.
Yeah, it is a lot. You made it further than I did. I think I hid in like a wardrobe or something like that.
Mhm,
And you like peek through the cracks and you see the killer coming. And then like there's like an action bar, you have to time it right so that way if you get it within the I don't know, the window that you're supposed to push the button, you're safe. But it
mhm.
gets small the window gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And that pressure is very similar to the pressure and anxiety I felt with a lot of AAA modern horror games today.
Yeah, it brought back the feeling of, like, my friends and I would play the what are they called? They're like the Until Dawn style games where everybody has like a different character. Um, and you play through like this like scary moment. It's not Until Dawn, but I think it might be made by the same team. There's like a series of them, but it brought back the same feeling that, especially that little like mini game when you're hiding and you have to successfully, like you said, you successfully time those button presses. Yeah, super scary, super scary, man. But I mean, it's for somebody. Somebody out there would really enjoy it. There's a story to it as well. You go around, you find these like journal pages, and I found a good amount of them, and I could tell just by reading them, it tells a pretty cool story. So
Oh, it does?
yeah, yeah. But definitely put that down pretty quickly. I played like 45 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I'm okay. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Really, really cool that they have that in there.
Yeah,
But I mean, that's my experience with UFO so far. Excited to try out some more games and um, maybe I don't know, bring this up again and spend some more time on a specific game, if
yeah.
not Pilot Quest.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Put like build up a couple resources like the plants and maybe build a couple workbenches in Pilot Quest. Go back to the main menu, leave it running on your computer. Go do your dishes or something. Go fold some
Yeah,
laundry. Come back, do a little bit in Pilot Quest. Put it back on the main
yeah,
screen. Go do some real. That's what I was doing the other night. I was like literally like just doing dishes, like cooking dinner while the game was running in the background, so the resources could build up, and I would come back and
that's amazing.
yeah, it
It
was,
doesn't take long. I think it's like just like 5 to 10 minutes,
oh,
and you got yourself
absolutely.
a
Yeah, yeah, it's so cool. Definitely check out, Bushido Ball as well. That one was a
oh,
lot
I
of
I
fun.
did for like a minute.
Mhm.
It's like Pong, but
Yeah,
with samurai characters.
it's so cool, man. I only played it for a little bit as well. I wanna get deeper into that one and learn, like, each character's, like, special moves, but, that one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember touching upon that, and then Kick Club,
Kit
which
Club.
was kind of funny. Yeah, it's you the first, like, 10 levels, you're kicking a soccer ball at other sports balls because 'cause they're
Mhm.
bad guys, and they're trying to, shoot you down or something. It's really fun, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the games have to offer.
Me too. I really wanna dive into the ones that have, like, sequels within the game to see how, like, those first games progress into the next one.
Oh, yeah,
Um
yeah.
I'll have to check that out. But yeah, I'm excited to. I feel like this is going to be a game that we're going to constantly keep bringing back for the next couple of episodes as we dive more and more into it. The games are just so
Right,
like
right.
they're bite sized, but they're like we said, they're also like full games, so it's easy to jump in and out of them. But if you want to like find one that really like sinks its hooks into you, it's easy to just like stay there and digest the moment and the experience. So it's a really,
Yeah,
really unique time.
that's awesome. I think my goal is to learn Party House.
Nice.
It's, the deck building strategy game, but we'll save that for next time.
Yeah, we'll save that for next time. We're gonna take a quick little break, and we'll come back with some more games. How's that sound to you, Dan?
Sounds great.
All right, let's do it. And we are back. Welcome back, Dan. I've been like drinking a lot of, not a lot, but like a good amount of these like Coke Zeros. And I'm trying
Oh,
to
yeah?
like, yeah, I'm trying to like cut back from like sugar and all that. So
Mm.
zero sugar sodas is what I'm kind of like getting into. I'm also getting into Metroid Zero Mission, baby.
Oh, man, that's good. You
That's right.
did it. I was like, "Where is this going?" I drink that too. That's really good.
That's right. That's right. And that's right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying. I'm getting a little better here and there and stuff
You
like
are.
that.
Yeah. Time
Thank
will
you.
tell.
Thank you. But no, I was looking for a couple of games to fill in like the spaces in between like my main game. So kind of like how you do, you have a main game and then you play a bunch of like smaller like side games and stuff like that. So I was thinking like, what are some games I can bring to the show that I can like beat in, a couple hours here and there that I'm not like diving into another 100-hour long RPG. So, inspired by your recent found love of Metroid, I'm like, let me dive in. Let me see what it's all about. I like a Metroidvania here and there. So I dived into Metroid Zero Mission. I feel like this was a good people were telling me this is a good first place to start. online and stuff like that. So, little just the first little tidbit from Wikipedia that I pulled up here. Metroid Zero Mission, an action adventure game developed and published by Nintendo for the Game Boy Advance, February 9th, 2004. It's a remake of the original Metroid from 1986. Retells the story with updated visuals and gameplay. I'm pretty far in. I got a good amount of upgrades. I think the recent one I just got was the ice beam. I think so you
Ooh,
can
nice.
yeah, you can freeze enemies, jump on them. That's a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah,
a whole lot of fun. But just like overview wise, like the game like looks gorgeous. These Game Boy Advance games, they just age so well. And
yeah,
especially this one, the colors are great. Um, the movement is so fluid. Like I feel like I have no problem like perfectly timing like platforming. Like you have to jump on like pretty small line pillars and stuff, and I'm not like going too far or like not jumping far enough. Like I feel like the game is super fair. If you miss
yeah,
something, you missed it because you mistimed it or something. But it's never like something on the game, which is really impressive for a Game Boy Advance game. It's so much fun. I'm having a good time. I beat a couple bosses, a couple like the really long like worms that pop out of the
mhm,
lava. I think that was one of the most recent ones I beat. How long to beat says the game's only like 4 hours long, so I don't think I have too much longer with it. Maybe if I just got the ice beam, so we'll see. But I'm having a
yeah.
really good time. I'm having a really good time. And this is one you played, right? Zero Mission.
I don't know if I played Zero Mission, or even the original. I just know about it, and
Hmm.
it's rated pretty high among the fan base because of a lot of the quality of life improvements, graphics, fluidity, all of that. Does it replace the original? I don't know. People go through like um there's a sequence of Metroid games if they start with the original and then ever get to this remake.
Right.
Um but from what I hear, it's a great start. I mean, it's like when people might choose to play the remake of Link's Awakening,
Hmm.
right? Versus the original on the Game Boy. It's just when there's enough quality of life improvements, it might take its place. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you picked it up though and you tried it out.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. A quick bite-sized little experience. I'm playing it on my Odin 2 Mini, so it has like the mini LED screen. Really makes the colors just like pop. Excuse me, I'm trying to like hold back a burp. Mm. Okay,
Like
cool.
Coke Zero.
Like, really gets to you, man, the Zero. But no, the colors are just absolutely gorgeous. Samus is such a cool character, and shooting enemies doesn't get old. It's super satisfying, and the Metroidvania of it all, like I said, it's a little bite-sized game, so I'm not getting lost really. It's like, you gain a power up and you're like, "Oh, I could use that 2 levels back or a floor up." I'm not getting lost as I would like in a game um like Hollow Knight. Like I love Hollow Knight. It's like one of my favorite games of all time, but you would get a power up and it'd be hard to remember like where you would be able to use that power up unless you're like using like way markers on the map, which they allow you to do. But in Metroid Zero Mission, it's like a small enough game to where I'm like I can
Mhm.
remember where these are useful. And like I said, just jumping on enemies when you freeze them is probably one of my new favorite power ups and things in general. It's just so cool, so cool.
Yeah, it's you can see how like the early stages of Metroid inspired the rest of the series because freezing enemies is like a staple
Yeah.
of a Metroid game. Yeah, freezing them and jumping on them as a platform to move up.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so creative, man. Too, just
Yeah,
impressive. Absolutely impressive. I'm having a great time. I hope to finish it, and I want to move on to Fusion. People tell me like Fusion has like
Fusion's
really,
good.
yeah, dark and like eerie vibes, right? That's what I hear.
Yeah, yeah. It was I think I mentioned before the first Metroid game I ever played and finished.
Oh, nice.
Um, and I was really into just the atmosphere of it all. I don't know if I truly understood the story,
Mm.
um, but it hooked me in very quickly.
Okay, cool, cool. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. I think these will be good like side games moving forward. Just like play a little bit, bring it to the show. Um,
right,
yeah,
right.
eventually I want to make my way up to the remaster of Prime and Dread. and play those and see what's up.
I'm in dread. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones that I brought up most recently in my
Hmm.
experience with Metroid. So I'd be so curious to hear your perspective, especially coming from the older versions to the more modern and recent releases. So and we
Yeah,
have a new Metroid game coming out soon this year, right?
yeah. Prime 4, right?
Four, yeah, yeah. So that's
Insane.
gonna be great.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fantastic. And like it's still like as of this moment and as of this recording, it's still unsure if it's gonna be a Switch 2 exclusive or a Switch 1 or if it's gonna come out on both. So it's really exciting times. We're in that period of Nintendo's about to release a new console. They've confirmed it exists. We know when it's going to be released. We don't get these moments too often. This little like in between like limbo. So the excitement is really built, and I'm very excited to see the Switch too.
If Nintendo's good at anything when they spread the news, it's like teasers, right?
Hmm.
It's teaser after teaser after teaser, and just kidding, I'll tell you next time.
Yes,
Um, until eventually it's just in your face.
until it's in your hands and you're like, it finally exists.
It's in
Um,
your hand. You're like, I wonder when Nintendo's gonna like announce this.
hey, what's going on here? Is this new console? What's going on? What's this Wiimote doing in my hands? What's your favorite Nintendo console now that we're like talking about this?
My favorite Nintendo console.
Yeah. It's probably a loaded question. There's a lot to think about.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's so many different pieces to think about, like the
Mhm.
the game catalog and the timing of everything in terms of my own like formative years.
Exactly, yeah.
I I think Nintendo 64 was my favorite.
Interesting.
Yeah. I had more fun playing the N64 with friends and family.
Okay. Okay, that's a pull. That's a pull. I wouldn't expect
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. What did you think I was gonna say?
For you, I would expect close to the N64. I expected the GameCube. I ex
Yeah, top 2 is N64 and GameCube.
Mhm.
Um, but like I said, I just have more memories like just laughing laughing myself into tears
Mhm.
with the people playing with, and there was like no internet. Well, there was internet, but it's not like you were playing online with
Sure.
other people on 64, nor were you doing that with the GameCube. But it just seemed more homely to me.
It really did. And as a kid having like the N64 and like Nintendo in general really emphasizing, co-op play with your friends, play with your family. Was such a special experience. My cousins had an N64 and I would always go over their house and we'd play Donkey Kong 64 together.
Yeah.
They had this like weird like army man game. You played as like little army man like toys or whatever, and you would
Yep.
like run around like home environments. So like you'd be running around like say like army man like in a fridge or in the kitchen or in a
Funny.
bedroom, and you're like the small person running around these cool environments. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
those memories really shine through.
Would you put N64 at the top of your Nintendo console list?
No, no. I had my own, but it definitely wasn't played a lot in my house. I think the top of my list, I was thinking about it as you were explaining. I think Nintendo DS would be top of my list. Um, just for the sole fact of the greatest Pokemon games came out during that
Oh, yeah.
generation. The
Mhm.
run was immaculate. And like we moved around a lot when I was younger, especially during that time. So portable consoles were really important,
Yeah.
because we not that we left. I still had my main consoles, but like we were always on the move a lot. So
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
that handheld system with the backlight, so we'd be playing in the back of the car when the lights were like low, but I could still see.
Mhm.
Pokemon Platinum, Soul Silver, Black and White. God, that's legendary run, man. Legendary run.
Yeah. Those were Pokemon games I didn't really get into, but I did have a DS and played like a lot of other games
Hmm.
that I really enjoyed. I think Mario Kart DS was like my
Oh,
main game for a while.
so good.
Yeah, right.
And DS download play too, like if one person on the bus had Mario Kart and somebody else didn't, you could still play together from because of download play. So cool, dude. So cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very innovative, ahead of its time, to be honest.
Dude, honestly, like that I got a DS and I thought it was the future. I thought it was endgame. Like two screens, man. Ah, this is amazing. But
What else
eno
do you need?
enough of that. Having another DS this day and age seems like a fantasy. But Dan, speaking of fantasies, I hear you've been playing Final Fantasy VIII. What's going on with that, man?
Man, you were on top of it.
I'm on
Just,
fire.
like, ahead of the ball. I'm like, "Where is he going with this?"
Grr.
Um, yeah, I've been playing more of Final Fantasy VIII. I'm gonna pull up my stats to see how long I've been playing it.
Let's go.
Uh, let's see, I've played 17 hours.
Oh my god. You always
Yeah,
do this, bro. Like I always expect like, "Oh, I've been playing it." Like, "Oh, he touched on it for like an hour or two." It's like, "No, I'm 20 hours deep."
yeah, I've played 17.6 hours. I think time how long to beat has it's at, like, 30 hours?
Okay.
Um, I don't have that right in front of me, but, nonetheless, I have a good amount of time invested into it, and I'm enjoying it, um, with some mixed feelings.
Okay.
Um, it's definitely in the shadow of Final Fantasy VII, of course, um, and so there are some things that are kinda similar to Final Fantasy VII, but you could tell, they wanted to make it bigger and better and distinguished from its predecessor.
Mhm.
Um, one of that is their junction system, how you assign magic to a character, right? Um, it has to go through like a guardian beast,
Okay.
the very same ones that you see from Final Fantasy One, straight up to Final Fantasy 16. They're like the not ultimate moves, but they're very powerful, and you could summon them, and they come into battle for a
So
move or
they're
two.
like the summons like Ifrit and like
Yep,
all
yep.
those, right? Okay.
Shiva, right? So you have to assign them to a character in order to um like change your stats and resistances and buffs. And then to use magic, you need to draw it from a source that's somewhere in the environment. It shows up as like almost like purple confetti that's floating in the air, and
Nice, nice.
you draw that. And so then you can cast fire or ice or lightning or cure. Or I believe you could also like learn moves from monsters. And I kind of put that to the side. I never liked that mechanic in any JRPG games for some reason.
Okay.
Um, but with that said, it's a fun game and it's an endearing story
Mhm.
um, about an academy of mercenaries essentially going to fight baddies. And then one person to be turns out to be an extra baddie, and that's the story. It's definitely a dated game. I it's just a remaster that I got. Um, so you can do like different like boosts or cheats, just like you can with pixel remasters that I've talked about before. I think the biggest gripe I have with this remaster is when you're navigating like a environment, you still can't tell what you can interact with,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or what's a door and not a door.
You and those
Or it
doors,
is
man.
I know it's all about the doors with me. Um, so it's like you are well, I am pushing a button every 2 seconds to see what I can interact with because
Mm.
it's not always shown like just out in the open like that. I know in Final Fantasy VII there was a button you could push where an arrow would point at the exits
Yeah.
and anything you can interact with, but I haven't found that button in Final Fantasy VIII. Um,
Strange.
yeah, yeah, so that could be frustrating sometimes. And the door situation is like, oh, it's right in front of me the whole time. I would have pushed it if I had known.
It's always the door that's just right in front of you, you know? It's the hardest door to see.
Yeah, it is. Um, but I'm having a good time with it. It's not something that I'm like raving about. The cutscenes are really cool. I could see how it was like top notch at its time.
Mhm.
Um, but I think having the experience that we've had with modern quality of life upgrades with different JRPGs now, especially with a game I'll talk later, like a dragon.
Mhm.
I'm like, it's a little clunky. So I could appreciate like the value of this game, the entertainment with like the story and the battle, but other things that take away from it are, like I said, some of that junction system confusion and
Sure.
just navigation of the environment.
Yeah, we get to a point when as we go back and experience these RPGs and JRPGs and just games in general, there's definitely like a cutoff point somewhere in like the mid like 2000s or whatever. Like everything after that, you can see the bones of like the modern gaming and like stuff like that. But things before that just feels like okay, great game, appreciate what it did. This is rough, this part's rough, that hampered the experience playing it in the modern day, I guess. But at the time, it was probably revolutionary and fantastic, and I still respect it. But yeah, Final Fantasy VIII, I didn't even like take into context like this is a game that has to follow up Final Fantasy VII, like probably
Hmm.
one of the greatest JRPGs like ever. And just from an outsider's perspective, it really seems that way because Leon kind of just seems like a cousin of Cloud, instead of a
Yeah.
big buster sword, he has a sword that like has a gun on it. And he looks edgy. And instead of
Right.
blonde hair, it's brown spiky hair. And it feels like they were trying to take elements of Seven and be like, hey, it's better here. It's cool. Is it kind of like the same? Because I know all Final Fantasies kind of have like a different vibe, And when I look
Hmm.
at Final Fantasy VII, I see like more of like industrial type of like setting and atmosphere. Is that
Yeah.
kind of like how 8 is as well, like a more
Um.
industrial-ish?
Yes, not to the same degree. I think it's lesser.
Okay.
Um. It's I don't really know how to describe it because having played many of these games, I could see like the train of thought, right? So my favorite is Final Fantasy VI, where it is like steampunk, right? And then you go to Final Fantasy VII, where it's industrious and um, it's big that way. Final Fantasy VIII, it's hard to pinpoint, but it's like leaning more towards. I feel like a realism.
Okay.
It's not so much um like the super high fantasies that you would see in 9 or anything like that, but it's more down to earth, so to speak. It's like a coming of age game if you think about it, especially
Okay.
with someone as grungy as Leon.
You're right.
Um, and the charm is a little bit different. But you could see like Final Fantasy has matured, right? Or the development of it has matured, and they're trying to find um, a new ground and where they could call themselves like this is what we are. And then they completely switch it when they get to 9, where it's like high fantasy,
Right,
right?
right, right.
Really sprites and characters. Um, I would say 8 is like a stepping stone to 10.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Kind of
makes more
gives
sense
me
in
the
my head.
same type of feel, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I plan on finishing this game. I think I'll just I don't know. I'll just push through it. I may turn on the boosters to max effect and maybe even look at some of the cheat options. Just once you get to a certain extent, you're like, okay, well, this is good.
Yeah.
Let's just see it out, right? See it through, um, and then move on to the next. I think the option for the boost is nice because you don't have to grind as much,
Mhm.
and I think I'm on disc 2 out of 3, so
Oh,
I should
nice.
be close.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. Is this your first time playing through it?
Yeah, this is the first time. I was always turned off by the junction system
Mhm.
whenever I tried it. So I think I've only ever tried the remastered version, and whenever I had to relearn the junction system, I was just it was too much effort. So
Yeah.
I put it down, never got back to it. Now I'm playing it on my Steam Deck, and I think the portability is nice.
Hmm.
Where if I don't want to like think too much, I just have it in my hands, and then maybe in the background I'll have like a TV show, YouTube video, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess to sum it all up, I see its appeal. I respect it.
Hmm.
It's I could see how some people would deem this as their favorite iteration of Final Fantasy. But I don't know if it would be that high on my list.
Okay. Yeah. No, I respect that. They always say like your favorite Final Fantasy is like one of the first ones you've played or the first one you played. So,
Yeah,
it's a favorite to somebody. Absolutely.
it is. It is.
Yeah, and I want to real quick before we end the convo, the junction system, now that you've learned it, is it as like bad as you thought it would be? Remembered? Is it like something like you got used to and it's, with time and experience not as bad or what's up with that?
It's not as bad. It still confuses me a little bit
Mhm.
because when I think I have it figured out, something else throws a wrench in there, and then I have to like remind myself, oh yeah, it's like this.
Yeah.
Uh, Especially when you switch party members, you have the option to carry over the settings of one non-party member into your new party member.
Okay.
That's the confusing part to me because then you lose track of who has what summon, who has what magic, who has what like stats.
Oh, interesting. So as party
Um,
members like switch out some characteristics. Interesting. Weird.
yeah, you could switch up their stats that way. Um, and then like there's less customizability with like weapons and armor.
Yeah.
I think you do have the option to buy or craft different weapons, um, but it's not like the main feature of party customization.
Okay. No, cool stuff. Cool stuff. I don't
Yeah.
think
Mhm.
definitely won't be one to hop into, but like I love hearing, what you have to say about it and what other people say. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been quite the journey with my Final Fantasy. I don't know what would you call it?
Yeah,
History,
your little run
fantasy
through.
run through. Um, and I've jumped all over the place. I think that's the beauty of it. You could start with whatever Final Fantasy you want and jump to whatever next game you want. Um, but I'm making great progress, and I don't think I have a lot more to play after this.
Yeah, because are you gonna play through 9 at all? Because
I
you've already done that one,
I
right?
think I already beat 9 a couple years ago.
And you're just focusing on the ones you
So
haven't played, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So that leaves what, 12, 16, and 5.
12, 16, and 5. Dang, you're there.
Yeah,
And then you
5
gotta
is
drop like 1,000 hours into Final Fantasy 14.
yeah. I don't know if I'll play 14 or 11 since those are MMORPGs.
Mhm.
I don't even think 11 is up and running still.
Right.
Um, but I think I have 5 on the Switch. I'm halfway done through that. The pixel remasters are very quick. Um, so I think the next one will be either 12 or 16. 16 I haven't even like installed yet. I have it, but I don't really know what's stopping me now. But
It's so much
find out.
fun. Like I played a good amount of it. I got not super far into it, but maybe like 3 or 4 hours until I got distracted. But just like the visuals of it all, really cool.
Yeah.
It definitely feels different, but I don't think that means it's bad. It's just a different
No.
experience.
Yeah, yeah. My take on some of the Final Fantasy games, it might be unpopular. Like Final Fantasy 15 didn't really get a good rep, and I actually really enjoyed it despite some of its shortcomings and flaws.
Mhm.
So who knows? I might have a completely different experience. I want to be open to it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what say we take a short break before we get into some of our other hard-hitting games?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, and we are back with another little section, as you will. Dan, I'm a sicko. I'm a sick man. I
Mm,
have a problem. This isn't even like a transition. I'm just like putting it out on the
just in
line.
general.
Just in
Yeah.
general, I start 100-hour long RPGs and JRPGs, and instead of finishing them, I will start another 100-hour RPG, and then I will start another one, and I will try to play them at the same time, and then maybe one will fall to the side, and I'll come back to it months later, and I'm sick. I'm sick in the head.
Mm,
I
yeah.
rebooted up Persona 5 Royal, and Dan, this is my fourth boot up of Persona 5 Royal.
Your
I
fourth.
My fourth. I've counted it. I first played it on my a friend loaned me it on PS4,
Mhm.
and I played it through a little bit there, got confused, stopped. I bought it full price, $60 when it came out on the Switch. I played a little bit there, put it down, came back to it again on the Switch, started a new save like months later because I'm like, I forgot how to play. I'll start a new save. I made it all the way up to like I got Makoto, the bicycle girl or
Mhm.
motorbike. I got her. Put it down. I don't know why I put it down. I was having a great time. Uh, and then I came back to it on the Switch. I booted up that old save recently, maybe like a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, you know what? I don't like how this looks. I want to play in 60 frames per second. It looks a little muddy on the Switch. Look at my Steam Deck. And I'm like, I could buy it there. It was on sale, $20. I bought it again. So now I'm playing it on my Steam Deck. And I started a new save, obviously. Oh my god. On a good note, it runs at 60 frames per second on this new monitor I got. I just hook it up to there. Looks beautiful. Um,
Sure.
yeah, great. And you know what? I love restarting Persona 5 because that first dungeon and the first villain is so satisfying to like beat. It's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
like my highlight of the experience so far. Like beating up Kamoshida. You know, he's a POS. He's an awful
Yeah.
person. He treats his
Sleaze
students
bag.
skleeze bag, bro. And it's so fun to just like put him in his place and make him like repent for everything he's done. But I'm having a great time. You know, this is a game I've played through a little bit, like 4 times already. So it's like my thoughts are pretty well seasoned at this point on it. Um, but I love the cast. I love the cast. Um, it's hard to say if it's my favorite cast of characters. Persona 4 was really up there. 3 is really good too, but now with some like hindsight, I'm like, I like the cast of 3. I don't know if it's my favorite. Um,
Mhm.
but this one is in contention with 4 for my favorite cast of characters. I love Ryuji. He's cool. Anne's awesome. Um, I'm forgetting the characters now. Makoto. Oh, who's the guy who's like the samurai persona? Yusuke? Yusuke? Is it Yusuke? I
You
think.
for the samurai?
Yeah, the blue-haired guy. You get him after like Monораme's palace. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, they're really cool. The style of the game, what can I say that everyone hasn't already said? The style is absolutely amazing. Every menu is just like chef's kiss dripping with the coolest color combination, menu sounds you've ever seen. Like
Mm.
who knows like how much work goes into just creating these menus. That's a whole job in and of itself. It's so cool. The music is, Persona 5 created jazz. It's amazing. It's I'm having a great
I
time.
don't I don't know if you ever do this. Sometimes when I'm doing my work, at home, I'll put on, like, Persona cafe music.
Oh yeah.
It's so good. Even, like, the rainy day ones, it puts you in the right vibe
Hmm.
just to chill, do your work, or enjoy whatever you're doing, cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That they, like, maximized that effect in Persona 5.
And it's so hard to see like what Persona 6, like what direction they'll go when they got everything so right with Persona
Yep.
5. At this point, I hope it's like a completely like tonal shift, just like go in the total opposite direction because like what you did
Yeah.
with P5 was legendary.
they kind of did it with Metaphor, right? Because
That's
it's
true.
still Atlas, it's still like the same developers. Um, I feel like that would be like the complete tonal shift. Again, like we were talking about with Final Fantasy, just into high fantasy things that are same mechanics, different setting, um, and very very enjoyable, right? They remember the things that people love. I don't know if they'll keep going in that direction, but at least for your experience, do you think this will be the one run through that you follow through with?
I think this will be the one run through. I think I have the advantage of knowing how Persona games work now. And I have it on Steam. So when I'm playing on my Steam Deck now, so eventually when I have my PC, the save will transfer over. So I'll be
Hmm.
more inclined to like keep this save, run through it. Even if I fall off a little bit, I'm gonna come back and just keep this save and keep building this one up. It looks beautiful in 60 frames per second, just like the animations, the models. The personas themselves look so cool. I think this will be the run. This will be the run. I'm setting it down right
Okay.
now because I'm having a lot of fun. I love the characters. I love the story. I love the just the vibe of it all.
Hmm.
The one thing like this goes for like all Persona games. It's kind of irks me. It's not irking, but it's like, man, I wish this was different. I wish like with the main character, so each Persona character gets their main protagonist gets their, like, distinguished, like, specific persona, with Joker, he gets Arsene, with the Persona 4, you get Izanagi, 3, you get Orpheus, I believe, but
Yep.
you have to get rid of them so quickly because, they're, like, weak personas, so you're encouraged to fuse them into something else, you can get
Yeah.
them back later
Or
on and fuse them, but
or or
oh.
you keep them for a little bonus at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you keep them, you have some opportunities to make them like mega.
I guess I gotta start over, Persona 5 now.
Yeah.
Man,
I think so.
I think so too, right?
Yeah.
R
Unless you have the persona in the compendium.
I do have in the compendium, so I could just summon them back,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, summon them back. So
Okay,
that saved.
okay. I'm gonna just summon them back. I'm like, "Man, Dan, I just beat Kamoshida. I cannot do it again, please. I'm so far in." But yes.
I think I think that applies to most Persona games. I didn't play two or ones, but
Okay.
I think in four I actually held on to Izanagi and gave him the ultimate form.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'll summon them back. I'll do it that way. We can't start over again. This has been a
I mean,
process.
you can. It's just
Please, I have a family, Dan. I can't do it again. I was fast forwarding through so many cutscenes too, because I'm like, I've done all
yeah,
this already. Let me just catch back up to at least beating the palace. So I was like, skip, 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 and it still took forever.
yeah.
Um,
It does save time, but not by a whole lot. I have Persona 5 Royal also in my library.
mhm,
I beat the original, but I think I mentioned before I never got the true ending. It was actually lackluster. So
mhm.
I may revisit it again with the added chapter and character.
Yeah,
Um, so hey, it's very possible I bring it up again too.
absolutely. I wonder if, because you played the original, right? Not Royal.
Correct.
I wonder if like your save would transfer over if you bought Royal or not. I w-
I
like.
I don't know actually.
I don't know
Mm,
either. It's probably a whole different SKU, so maybe not.
yeah, yeah. Either
Mm,
way, I'm going to enjoy it all the same.
yeah.
It one of the better games I've played in the last 10 years. So um, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, dude, that'd be so much fun, and we play it together and have a good time and stuff. Dan, that's all I have to say about it. I will bring it back. I'm sure many many times as I make my way, and I do not have a good transition, so I'm just warning you
Oh, I
right
was
now.
waiting
I
for it. I
know,
was waiting for
I
it.
know, I know, I know. I was thinking about it as I was filling up time with just words and stuff like that, but I'm like, I can't figure it out. So whatever. You've been playing like a
You
dragon.
I
That's
was
what.
gonna say you could have used the time in between the breaks to write something down. You could have, brainstorm with me. You could have found something for Yakuza.
Listen, man, you expect a lot of me, and this little brain I got here is only filled up with so many things, so many little transitions that sometimes I fumble. All right.
You used up your transition cards for today's episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna plan it out in the future better. I'm gonna have a little index card, like, all right, say this here, and this will be witty, and this will be clever, and this one will,
We
whatever,
should just have
man.
like a inventory of possible transitions and
I know,
segues
right?
for any game.
I'm gonna put it in the
Uh,
chat GPT and have AI help me out.
you know what? I think that'd be fantastic if we tried it out next time.
Yeah.
Give me a segue for, I don't know, Monster Hunter Rise.
Rising to the occasion. You're now playing Monster Hunter.
See how
Yeah.
quick that was? You could do it.
I
You
could have
got it.
done it. I could have done it.
Anyway, I restarted Yakuza Like a Dragon. It is almost like a completely different beast than the JRPGs we've talked about so far.
Mhm.
Um, this episode and those before it. This one is uh, one word I would use is silly.
Okay.
It's a silly JRPG. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've played any Yakuza games. This is my first one. Um, it was published by Sega, and so it kind of has like a I don't know how to describe it. It has a Sega feel to it. If you've played any other Sega games, like 3D modern Sega games, they kind of have like this flowiness and like the graphic style, and even like with different sounds and background music, they kind of have the same Sega feel to it. I
Yeah.
don't really know how to describe it.
No, that makes so much sense though in my brain. The Sega feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. The Sega feel. Um, it's a silly game. It's a lot of fun. It like really dives deep into a lot of the ridiculous JRPG tropes. Um, and in my mind, it's like how Grand Theft Auto has like the sense of satire and sarcasm and wittiness to it for a lot of real world issues and challenges and
Mhm.
dynamics and stuff, right? To me, that's what Yakuza Like a Dragon is, and I had tried it out not that long ago on PlayStation, and it was a little overwhelming for me,
Mhm.
only because there's just so many different like things you could do, which is pretty cool, right? A lot of mini games, a lot of um, like places to explore and people to talk to. Um, but with that said, my first playthrough wasn't very long.
Okay.
Um, as of today, my playthrough on Steam is about 3 hours.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. It's visually like appealing. It's great. Story is interesting.
Mhm.
The thing is, I think I'm just reaching the end of a tutorial.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah, sounds
and I
about right.
I could be I could be completely wrong. Um, I remember now one of the things that didn't turn me off to the game, but I put it down for a reason. One of the reasons is because every cutscene is a movie,
Okay.
and it's very drawn out. Um, really interesting scenes and very relevant scenes,
Mhm.
but they go on for a lot longer than you would typically expect from a JRPG. And so before, when I first played it, I knew I had to plan out time to watch these cutscenes.
Right, you gotta sit down and make it an effort.
Right, to really take it in and appreciate where the story is going. Um, I think this time around I was able to skip some of those scenes because I remember what they were about, but
Mhm.
those scenes still continue. And I think there's like this, not a meme, but someone posted online like I'll never skip like a dragon cutscenes again because it could be very serious
Uh-huh.
and very morbid and super emotional. And I think in this little clip this person uploaded was that they skipped that scene
Oh, no.
and and all of a sudden, you guys are playing Mario Kart in like this really silly track and car. Um, and then the captain will never skip a cutscene again.
It's
So
fantastic.
I don't know what to expect. I think just having no expectations and just going into it open-mindedly, um, I think that's the best way to approach it.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I love the tonal shift. I haven't played a Yakuza game, but I've listened to a lot of podcasts or talk about the games recently, like Infinite Wealth, Like a Dragon. They love it. These games are like highly revered, and people only have like great things to say about it. And
Mhm.
I'm excited to hear more about what you have to say about it because I feel like with just knowing the comedy of these games, it feels like it's up your wheelhouse or in your wheelhouse.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a
Mhm.
good time. And like the action sequences, the battles, the mini games, it doesn't get boring. And
Yeah.
that's what I like. Um, there's a lot left to learn about the game and mechanics and whatever else it has to throw at me. Um, but this is one I'll take my time with. I mean, I'm only like 3 hours in.
Mhm.
Uh, I think as I finish some other games, this might take more of my focus. But yeah, I like you said, many podcasts, many like video essays, many friends have talked about this game with me before, and I'm very eager to see what's in store.
Awesome. This is where it's turn-based, right? Like in this one?
Hmm.
Turn-based combat? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Does it feel like a satisfying like turn-based combat? Is there like a lot of
Yeah,
options and yeah,
yeah. Well, again, I'm in the very early stages of the
sure.
game, but even what it's shown me so far, it's super unique in terms of JRPGs. Like, it's not as if like in Pokemon or Final Fantasy, when you get into when you counter a battle, it doesn't shift the screen into the battle screen, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it does a little bit, but it just the camera zooms behind the shoulder. Maybe there's an interaction, and you're fighting exactly where you stood,
Oh, cool.
which is incredible because you can't control the movement or where you stand in battle. But if there's an object or an item around, you'll take that object and item and just automatically use it as a weapon
Oh,
for
cool.
like a one-time hit. So I've used traffic cones, I've used a bench, and I recently discovered if like the enemy is like hit and they fall in the streets, if a car comes by, the car does damage.
Jesus Christ.
I've won a couple battles that way, and it is so funny. There's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of references to other JRPGs and games in general. Um, I think I walked by a bar that was called Seventh Heaven,
Nice.
which is Tifa's bar in Final Fantasy VII,
Oh,
which
cool.
I loved. So it's a lot of tongue in cheek, and I think that's what is going to keep me hooked when things get a little bit convoluted.
Sure, sure, absolutely. And all JRPGs, ton of systems getting thrown at you, so at some point it does get a little overwhelming, I'm sure. Um, I hear a lot of praise for the protagonist of the Like a Dragon, part of the series, Ichiban. Because I know it used to be, I'm blanking on his name. It was a different protagonist for like the longest time.
Hmm.
Oh, blanking on his name, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for it. Give me
Yeah.
one
Well,
second.
I've never played the other Yakuza games, so I have no
Oh, that's
idea.
right.
I know I could see the picture, I see the face, but in my
Mhm.
head, but I don't know anything about it.
Or yeah, Kazuma Kiryu for like the longest time.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
then they
Yeah.
switched over recently. Not recently, maybe in the past couple of years to Ichiban. People really like him, and he says he's a goofball. He sees the good
Yeah.
in a lot of people. He's always trying to help out people.
Hmm.
But I've heard like when he like gets serious, if it really when it does happen, it's a cool moment. So I'm
Oh yeah.
excited to hear about your experiences with this guy.
Yeah, he's super charming, definitely a goofball. I don't know how much different it is from other again, the last protagonist. Um, but right from the get-go, he's a very, very likable guy. Just had a raw deal in life and trying to make the best out of it. So that's my experience so far.
Cool stuff, man. Keep me updated. I hope you stick with this one. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, for sure. This has been on my list for so long, so I definitely want to stick with it.
Nice, nice, cool stuff, man. Cool stuff.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
So now we are at the portion of our show where we talk about quick hits. Um, and there is just a couple of quick hits. There's one I missed that I wanted to bring up
Yeah,
that maybe we could spend more time on next time. Um, but I had mentioned last episode I was playing the game Until Then,
yeah.
um, the visual novel, the pixelated visual novel. Um, and I believe it's a shorter game. I've spent maybe 6 hours on it so far, so for some people that might not be short at all.
You're right. That's a
Um,
full game for some people.
yeah, I don't know how much further I have to go. Probably a little bit because I feel like I'm just cracking the surface. But it's a visual novel, so it's not like there's anything I really need to do or pursue or grind for. It's just following along for the ride. Um, and I can't recommend this game enough
Mhm.
for you, Terry, especially, and then for any other listeners. It was nominated for I think like uh, outstanding story rich game or something in the Steam Awards
Cool.
2024. Um, I actually don't know who ended up winning that, but I love the emotional depth of this game. And for some people, when they unwind, they like to watch something on Netflix or some type of other streaming service. They watch a movie. Um, this is almost the same way. I'm just pushing the same button
Hmm.
to move the story forward. I didn't think I would be as emotional as I was or I have been when I played this game. Um, it's very, very relatable. It's almost like a coming of age story, um, but it really strikes deep, and I look forward to playing it and unwinding with it very often. And it's set in the Philippines,
Oh, that's
so I
cool.
like yeah, it's set in the Philippines, so it's like a nice little cultural like shift from what I'm used to
Yeah.
playing more Western games. Um, and they have like little mini games in this visual novel, which are
Cool.
very charming. There are no consequences if you don't win. Um, and every character has like their fleshed out stories, and it's nice to see it all come together. There's a couple of themes that are very easy to pick up on. I know we talked about um, Thousand X Resist
Hmm.
and all those themes, right? Um, this one's a little bit more straightforward for me to follow,
Sure,
but
sure.
when you talked about the emotionality of it all, I mean that's what this is all about, and definitely give this game a look if you are curious or want to support indie developers or anything like that.
Sure.
Um, I'll have you know they're they talk about food a lot. So after a playthrough, I crave like Filipino food, which
Oh
is
yeah.
incredible if you've ever had it. But yes, give this a look when you can.
Absolutely. I added it to my wish list when you mentioned it during the next episode, so I'm gonna keep an eye on it.
Yeah, yeah. It try to avoid any spoilers if you can.
Okay.
And just go in fresh. So that's one quick hit for me. The other quick hit I have, which is extremely quick, probably the quickest I'll ever say about a game, is I have Civilization 6. I'll play it from time to time for like 10 minutes, and um, I don't understand this game, to be honest. I I don't know what the buttons do. I don't know what each function is. There's too
Right.
much to be accountable for, um, and nothing has really happened since I started my campaign. So um, I want to like it, um, but again, it's one of those games I think I have to sit down and like really learn the details for me to really appreciate it. But
Yeah, it seems like you really gotta
um,
like study these games, like watch so many like YouTube tutorials and stuff.
exactly, exactly. It looks great visually, awesome, right? And there's so much like heart put into it. Obviously, there's six, and then seven is going to be released soon, I think.
Mhm.
But about an hour and a half in, I am still just as lost as I was 2 minutes in. So I don't
Mhm.
know if that'll change, but if anyone has advice for me, I would love to hear it. Even if it's just to put it on like easy mode or simple mode or something.
Yeah, send it our way, man, because I have less than 0 idea about this game, so I would be no help whatsoever, so sorry about that. I
Like
hope
I
it
played
works.
I played like Command and Conquer Red Alert, right? I thought it
Uh,
would be like, oh, the same thing. Like the same thing with like Warcraft. Um thought it would be very similar to those kinds of games.
mhm.
Don't know if it is. I like City or something like that, but I don't know.
Maybe
Who
7 would be an easier place to jump in since it's, like, just coming out and there's not as much, like, bloat, so on quote, unquote, to say, or it's not as, like, expanded yet. I don't know, maybe.
Who knows? I would assume a lot of the mechanics and gameplay stays the same, and I have no idea.
Mhm.
We have a mutual friend Bob who's really into civilization games. Um, but Bob is like a mastermind genius. He could
Oh, yeah.
hold so much information in his mind. So I don't know if that'll be too much help, but I respect him for it.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. He does have a lot of information, now that I think
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
He's a smart guy.
What what do you have for your quick hits?
Well, I only have 1 game, um,
Okay.
that I this the Odin 2 Mini I have is a little handheld emulator. It's a godsend. I can play a lot of old, like, PS2 games, GameCube games, so I'm diving into, like, games that I played when I was, like, 8, 9, and stuff like that. One of the games I played back then, well, 2 games technically, they're the X-Men Legends games. There's
Hmm.
X-Men Legends 1, and then there's X-Men Legends 2, Rise of Apocalypse. I'm not super into Marvel, like, these days. I enjoy it, but it's never, like, top of my list of, like, the franchises that I'm into, but I really liked
Hmm.
X-Men as a kid. I think spurred on by the movies, with, like, Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, and stuff like that. I love
Hmm.
those movies. So I really liked the games too, to say. So I played these Legends games a lot, and Dan, I know we were talking about it a little bit before, but they're kinda like Diablo-like games, so it's, like,
Hmm.
kinda top down, not all the way top down, it's, like, a little tilted, so you're, like, running around on the grid and stuff like that. With X-Men Legends 2, the story is really cool. The game opens up, and it's like the opening cutscene, so it's Magneto, Sabretooth, and Mystique, and these guys were your enemies in the first game, as, they usually are in the X-Men series. So, it's these 3 infiltrating, like, this, like, base of operations, and they're taking out soldiers, they're, like, doing, like, what you would assume is the bad guy thing to do, and then they run into the X-Men, so they run into Cyclops, Wolverine, and Storm, and they run face to face into each other in a hallway, and then Cyclops just looks up at Magneto, and he's just like, "Which way?" And Magneto
Hmm.
is like points to the way, points like whatever way they're going, and then they walk together. So it's like, oh snap, they're working together for some reason. And a really cool part that I always thought was cool as a kid was like, Sabretooth and Wolverine, they have beef with each other. So when they start walking together, Sabretooth and Wolverine, they like get in each other's face. And then like
Yeah.
Wolverine like pulls his claws out. So he has like 3 claws, but then he like starts walking away and he holds his 3 claws up and he puts in like 2 of the claws, so it's only like the middle claw, like, out. So he's just like flipping like Sabretooth off with like his 1 claw. I thought it was the coolest thing as a kid. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I still think it's the
Did
coolest
you
thing now.
did you know, like, lore-wise, they're brothers?
Like actual brothers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I knew they
Yeah,
like served in like what, like the Civil War together or something like that.
right,
They're
right.
like super old, right?
Mhm.
That's really cool. I love both those guys. Like Wolverine's like one of my favorites, obviously, but Sabretooth was one of my favorite villains as well. Just like that like
Right.
animalistic like nature of it all. So cool.
Yeah.
So so cool.
They're like the face of X-Men, right?
Yeah.
So and there's, like, hundreds of mutants, I'm sure, and there's a lot to learn, but,
Mhm.
talk about someone who likes to learn about the history and the lore of different games. X-Men is a huge one to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if there's like I said, Marvel may not be my thing, but the X-Men, it's just like a whole nother. That's I love the X-Men, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. It definitely controls like an older game, you know, but it has its charm. And just being able to play, like you can play as like, so you have like 4 playable characters at a time, and you can switch back and forth constantly. So during the first tutorial level, you can play as Wolverine, Cyclops, Magneto, or Storm. And you can just switch
Hmm.
back and forth. They all have their powers. They level up. It's like an RPG, so you have different stats you can level up, different powers you can unlock, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. If
That's
you're
cool.
yeah, if you're looking for an older X-Men game to play, that one's up there. But yeah.
Yeah. I think the only older X-Men games I played were like beat 'em ups.
Mhm.
And that's like back in like Super Nintendo days.
Right. Those are
Um,
good too though, man. Those like side scroller beat 'em
they're
ups.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a classic because you know, back in the day when you went to an arcade, there was always the X-Men beat 'em up where you could have like 4 or 5 other people playing.
Mhm.
Uh, and that was always a good time. But I'm glad they've kept up with the evolution of video games.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's cool to see, and I'm super excited for like Insomniac's Wolverine game. Just see what that's gonna be like.
Oh, yes. Yes, I forgot all
Mhm.
about that. No,
So excited.
I I've said before how much I love Spider-Man Insomniac games. Um, so this I don't know, I'm prepared to have my mind blown with
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Yeah, me too, man. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. We'll save that for later, though, man. That's it for me and
Yeah.
my quick hits, Dan. Do you have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
No, not really. I think those are all I have for my quick hits. We continue to have our weekly Marvel Rivals
Oh my
get
god,
together. Get together if you want to call that shebang.
shebang! We were
Um,
killing it last
it's
night, man.
oh man, last night like we only lost like two games
Yeah.
that we had played, and those were silly games just because we
Mm.
were goofing around.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. We were cool.
we're getting pretty good
Ah,
in in casual play. Let
right.
me add that note. In casual play, we've never played competitive.
Yeah, it's all quick play. Maybe we're not actually that good, but we'd like to think so.
No one else could otherwise. But yeah, that's all I have for this episode.
Yeah, I was thinking about bringing Marvel Rivals up again too, and I'm like, we brought it up twice. Let me chill. But it's so much fun. We keep playing it,
It's a
so
good time.
yeah.
Yeah, I again, it's the friends we have along that we have already made and continue to play with along the way.
Yeah, yeah, and I like that we keep on growing, like, there's new people that keep on joining, like, some of, like, Travis's friends join in every now and then. I'd love to, like,
Yep.
grow the squad, so it's like, if we could have a consistent, like, 6 per team night of just, like, 6 people we know, that'd be so much fun.
Yeah. Have a full roster and
Yeah.
maybe get into competitive, but who knows? We'll save that for down the line.
Yeah, we'll save that for later. Thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of the Double Kick Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Double Kick Games. We're always posting when new episodes go live over there, so that is the best place to keep up with us and keep up with our little shenanigans. Thank you, Dan, for joining me on another episode. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had a great time. Um,
Always.
Always, man, and we'll be back with another one. So, have a great day, everybody. Night, evening, wherever you are. And we'll see you later.
See you, everybody. Thanks.